Welcome to News Laundry Chhota Hafta. The complete episode is behind the paywall. Free में छोटा ही मिलेगा. For the full episode, subscribe to News Laundry and help keep news independent. NL Hafta is our weekly wrap of what made the news and what should have. We critique, we disagree, we agree, we debate, and sometimes we beat each other up, but it's all good fun. But if you subscribe on the other side of the paywall, you get the full uncut Hafta. You get a new podcast, Let's Talk About. You get comics and you get lots of other fun stuff.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Thank you all so much for our birthday wishes. It was our happy birthday earlier this week.
Happy birthday.
लेकिन गिफ्ट तो हमने आपको दिया. For all of you who are still मुफतखोर, शर्म करो, बेशर्मो, मुफतखोर. But now you have a sasta chance to come on board. ये हमारा return gift with our birthday discount of 20% on all subscriptions of 6 months or over. यानी कि आप 1 month की subscription पे discount मिलेगा. You can't be so sasta also.
This is the auntie I'm leaving gift.
Auntie I'm leaving. हाँ बेटा अच्छा है. ऐसे कैसे खाली हाथ कैसे थप्पड़ लेके जाओ.
I used to say you're leaving, bye.
You were the
Did you say ma? You can't
auntie.
do that. You have to give the gift.
छोटा हफ्ता सुनने वालों, my Lavlinder Singh मुफतखोर्स, please subscribe and get the full हफ्ता. छोटे में क्यों काम तुम्हारा बिगाड़े, फुल लो, उसके लिए सब्सक्रिप्शन खरीदो. And there's major action happening in Tamil Nadu where Shashikala is taking a bus full of MLAs and keeping them safe. An MP from AIDMK has flown down to make sure Paneer Selvam becomes chief minister. Someone is accusing Sasi of having engineered Amma's.
It all started with Jayalalitha, basically. Jayalalitha's ghost reaching out to Paneer Selvam saying, I want you to be the chief minister. That was the breaking news. Amma's ghost.
I love that. What a great story.
Yeah, the ticker, when this all started, the ticker actually said like breaking news, Amma's ghost has reached out to me.
I love the
Paneer
headlines
Selvam.
of his thing is OPS, Ops.
Yeah. Ops, I did it again.
And the other things that we will be discussing in this hafta are the following. PM Modi's speech in Rajya Sabha, which has led to major angst, and there's also some debates happening about the raincoat. I'd like to know what the panel thinks of that. The Twitter is going to start cracking down on trolls and abusive tweets. Yeah, I'd like to see that happen. They'll spend all the time doing that. Economists don't know the parameters on which to assess demonetization. Modi says in Rajya Sabha, he says it's इतनी बड़ी mystery है कि Sherlock को भी नहीं solve होगी. He didn't say that, but that's kind of. BSF Constable Tej Bahadur's family says they have no idea where he is. That's a really interesting case. It has not getting the kind of traction because Paneer has hijacked the paratha.
Yeah.
Calcutta High Court judge gets a contempt for the first time. This is a very interesting case, in fact. Then not a drop of Ganga clean, says the National Green Tribunal. So much for Swachh India. Iram Sharmila to contest against Chief Minister of Manipur in the polls. That's going to be very interesting. That is something that I'd like to watch out for. On the Telegraph layoffs, is it the end of the era of field reporting? This is Manisha's piece. There have been a lot of layoffs and there's going to be a lot more bloodbath coming up on Press Street, Fleet Street, kya kehte hain? Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg.
Not here.
Not here, but yeah, generally in the news world. So let's just start with Tamil Nadu, get that out of the way, then we can move on to the rest. And now we have with us, all the way from Chennai, Dhanya Rajendran, the founding editor-in-chief of the News Minute, which is a remarkably exciting digital property, which got the first interview. Huh? It wasn't big media that got the first interview of, what's his name?
Paneer Selvam.
Paneer Selvam, OPS. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So before we start, are you team Paneer or are you team Sasi?
I am Team Dhanya.
So what's up, yaar?
And
Tell
I've
me.
been projecting myself as the future Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu on Twitter continuously.
But since you're on the ground, just give us, if Sasi Kala does become Chief Minister, will the public support her or will there be like Trump-like outcry on the streets?
I think there will be. Definitely there will be. There would be at least some effort to sort of resist her. But I do not know how long that can go on or whether that will lose steam. But people are really angry. And they would definitely come to the streets, I think, if she's sworn in as Chief Minister. Already there are lots of talks on WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups trying to organize people to come to protest. So I think once the governor decides, and if she does become Chief Minister, we are definitely going to see protests.
This thing about BJP backing. Surprisingly, I found Dr. Subramanian Swamy very enthusiastic about Sasikla becoming the chief minister. So I want to know what's the history behind that. And secondly...
So what would that automatically mean if Subramanian Swamy is going against what a BJP's line would be? That means leaders he doesn't like in the BJP are towing the opposite line.
So Madhu, let's start off with the courts. You had something to say about the courts, Wala, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think of this case? I'll just tell the people what the case is. It is basically a Calcutta High Court judge got a contempt notice from the Supreme Court because he was accusing the collegium of corruption, and apparently he refused to follow the transfer order. So I thought this was a great thing because a judge being hauled up for contempt, one of their own, otherwise they always stick up for each other. But you don't think this is a good idea?
No, I think that these judges for the last 70 years have been following in attitude the British law, which has been removed in England and in America. Their contempt of court has been completely reformed. But in India, we have been following the contempt of court, which was written for the natives by the British. So therefore, you cannot question the crown. You cannot be critical of the crown. And so they've carried it further in their lack of wisdom. The constitution authors have carried it on as if the Indian government and the judiciary are the crown. And I think it's time that this was changed and reformed, and we should be allowed to criticize the judiciary and even pass, which we do pass comment on judgments. But this kind of thing, I don't know whether this particular judge had some vendetta or vengeance, or if it was factually correct. Whatever it is, they could have handled it differently. It should not have been handled with just a straight contempt of court. I think this contempt of court thing has to go.
Now let's come to the PM's speech in Parliament. So I think this Modi's comment of raincoat pen ke nahana, I mean, it is like a dumb comment, but
screwed.
It's not that offensive.
But it's not
I
that
didn't find
offensive.
it.
It's a bit
I'm like, okay.
I just don't
I'm not
get it.
understanding why people are so...
In fact, I'll tell you,
It's quite witty.
I was talking to Karthik just before the Hafta began. I think this is an incredibly cunning tactic, maybe by Modi or maybe by one of his advisors. So two things, his jocular comments, one on Manmohan and the other on Man. They were actually quite funny.
Yeah.
And they were in the spirit of his speech and oratory, whatever. They actually masked the things that people should have grilled him about the horrendously wrong things that his government has done, which he included in the speech. Now, I'll come to one. Do we have the time right now, or should I?
No, we have the time right now.
Yeah, so for example, he was talking about the failures of the previous government, in which he talked about the National Optic Fiber Network, NOFN. And he said it was launched in 2011 by the UPA. And the UPA said in 2 years, we're going to enable all 650,000 villages with fiber optics. And he said in 3 years, from 2011 to 2014, they enabled 59 villages.
God.
So I fact-checked, is absolutely right. Now the thing is...
But for those of you listening, fiber optic cable is what carries the internet and other communication devices.
Yes. The thing is, you see, there's no point questioning the failures of the UPA. They were abysmal. But for heaven's sake, they were voted out. You question the people who have been voted in. So many other things people miss. Demonetization.
The other thing that I thought was
and
a bit over the top.
I'm sorry, I get a bit excited when you mention demonetization. Arun Jaitley said, not a single day has passed.
I don't understand. How did he say that?
So let me just complete that, in astonishment. Where there has been... So Arun Jaitley said, not a single day has passed where, there has been a shortage of cash. Now...
What?
अब इस पे अब क्या कहे आदमी? कमेंट करना भी मतलब मजाक है.
So we've actually had a bad start. You've had HT that has laid off quite a few journalists at the beginning, Hindustan Times in January. And then on February 3rd, ABP's print publications, which include the Telegraph, the Anand Bazar Patrika, Ebela, which is a Bengali daily, also sacked a lot of people. As it is with most things in media, these things completely go unreported. No one really talked about it. And I've reported on where the cuts actually happen, and it's really depressing because what Telegraph has done, and I think it's the beginning of what we're going to see this year. I think a lot of newspapers are going to do this and are thinking of doing this. So Telegraph has actually cut down on close to 300 people. Most of these people are district correspondents, really people who are doing journalism at the grassroots for very little pay. One person little pay relatively, I guess, where they live, it's not that bad. But when you compare it to Delhi, it's quite little. So you have someone working for 17 years earning as good as 30,000 when he, after 17 years. So a lot of these people have been laid off simply because newspapers now want to rely on wire copy. So a single source like an ANI and PTI will just give us information and you just turn it around, give a clickbaity headline and put it up. That's
basically desk पर graduate बनाए हुए English graduate, तुम churn out करते रहो, जो सुने निकाल दो. If that is the model a news is going to follow, then fake news will rule.
And this is exactly when you look at
what websites are doing, in the sense the ones who are looking for just click numbers, taking halls, putting 400, 500 people in there, who pull out stories from anywhere and everywhere, no credibility, no double checks, no counter checks, just
and no reporting.
And no reporting, and they do it. And
no
I think
understanding. You have an insular newsroom where you do not know what's happening in the country.
Now can I present the other side?
But just one more point I want to make. When after Trump won, there was a lot of introspection in the American media about why they got it so wrong and why they couldn't feel the pulse of the country. And one of the prime reasons was the collapse of local news and newsroom cuts. People didn't know what were people outside New York thinking. And which is why then propaganda has enough space. So when journalism recedes from these areas, you have websites, you have all kinds of shady characters acting as journalists, but into blackmailing people, which you already see in India. You have so many websites, local regional websites, which are just operating as
such shit. It's
just, and it's really scary for India.
See, I'll give you the other side of it also. I agree with everything that you said. I mean, I support what you're saying. I think it's important to look at real reporting, and it's what journalism is about. So I completely agree with you and support you. But on the other hand, let me give you the other side. I've met a couple of editors, editor-in-chief, who will say that, we hire people, and instead of them going out and reporting, all they're doing is rewriting themselves, sitting in an office, getting a salary of a correspondent, but just rewriting from Google research, just going on the net and rewriting all their stuff and putting a story together. I'm talking about, say, a weekly magazine or a fortnightly or whatever. The other side of it is that we have to look at it, include our assessment on this issue with also the economy of it. That if you are losing money, and how do you sustain any business, whether it's a journalism or a factory or a garment export guy, that if you're losing money, or a hospital, if you're losing money and you can't sustain yourself, forget about making a profit, you can't break even, then what does an owner do? That is my question.
So in
what
India,
do you do?
newspapers...
You have to cut your costs. You have to look at how to survive. And what you end up doing is really ugly. It is... Nobody, I think, sleeps well at night after you've fired someone. It is...
But what
choice do you have? That's my question.
But I think other than people who are just sitting and writing reports on Google, I know even big networks, if someone wants to go out of station for a report, like our subscribers got 2 of our reporters the funds together for them to go spend Bellary, matlab 1.5-2 lakh kharch hua. They went to spend 10 days there, 2 people going, spending 10 days, coming back. They do not even approve. You have to first give a requisition, na ji mujhe report karne jana hai. They say nahi, report nahi karna, yahin se kar jo karna hai. Wire seller. So they don't even want you to go क्योंकि तुम्हारी salary दे रहे हैं.
Because of the cost.
ऊपर से तुम वहाँ जाओगे, खाना पी खाओगे, टैक्सी लगेगी, एयर टिकट यहीं से बैठ के करो.
So the business has taken a beating. The business has taken a beating in terms of in terms of revenue. If you look at television channels who used when they first came on were making good money when liberalization first took place.
Yes, but that is also because broadcast was all. I think
they overexpanded, overhired.
But I think the problem is not that. The problem is that basically, and although news is being hit all over the world, other places people are innovating and coming up with solutions. India big business has never innovated. Today, that's all we have on the Hafta. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
May
you.
I please remind you, those of you who've only tuned in for Chhota Hafta, please subscribe and listen to the whole thing. And you also get a podcast series, Let's Talk About. Thank you so much, Shobhit Trehan, for your advice. Do write in to us at contact@newslaundry.com or to me at abhinandan.sekri@gmail.com. We'd like to start a program where you listeners, because some of our listeners are really brilliant, and one of us does a podcast together in the Let's Talk About series. So we'll do this joint production, one a month, let's aim for maybe one every 2 months, so for starters. So any of you who have ideas and want to work with us, we'll do a joint one. Any one of us will partner with you and together we'll present a podcast. And please support NL Sena. We have 2 projects up. One is on the Murthal gang rape cases and the other on the political violence in Kerala, where every other week you hear of, some BJP kin or member being killed, or then from the CPIM being killed. We want to send 2 reporters there to get you a full in-depth on-ground report on why it's so violent.
So can I just say, so now we have 2 ideas that have actually sprung up from the Hafta discussion. One is NL Sena.
Correct.
And the other one is this doing
one.
a podcast with, I think it's brilliant.
See?
It's brilliant.
When
very interactive and very...
When bright minds sit together, a good idea comes. But when we sit together, also average idea comes. Sun liya? Now go to www.newslaundry.com/subscriptions and subscribe and help keep news independent. Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta is one of the most followed podcasts in the world. In the news and politics category, go to SoundCloud. We are regularly in the top 50. So you know that you are missing out on something special. Also, we have a really cool podcast player on our app and iOS. So do check it out. Until the next Chhota Hafta.